Hello, welcome to the second week of the League of Average Vatos Fantasy Football Power Rankings. Week 2 was a rather disappointing week with no nail biters, just like week 1. For our fantasy grudge match of week 2, we had the Big Gronkowski taking down Boulevard Ballers, with the Big Gronkowski leading this week's scoring with 152 points, led by none other than King Henry. Now, with that all out of the way, let's continue on to this week's power rankings.
Number 10, TDs for Harambe.
At number 10, we have TDs for Harambe. It looks like TDs for Harambe has a tough season ahead of him, losing in week 1 to all of your favorite host and scoring the least amount of points in week 2. So that brings us to having TDs for Harambe at the bottom of our rankings.
Number 9, Team Soul Train.
Following back-to-back losses, we have Team Soul Train at number 9 in our rankings. I know you all can't fault him too much with the loss to me this week, but we'll see how he bounces back in week 3.
Number 8, Boulevard Ballers.
Now, I hope you don't let his current ranking fool you, because Boulevard Ballers is going to be ruining a lot of people's fantasy weeks this season. We'll see how he does in week 3, hopefully not facing the top scorer again, just like in week 2.
Number 7, Team Garcia.
At number 7, we have Team Garcia. We all really liked his team going into the season, but he's had some bad luck so far, having the most amount of points scored against him. So we'll see how he does going into the rest of the season.
Number 6, the Big Gronkowski.
All right, now we have this week's point leader moving up to number 6 in our rankings. His team seems just outside of playoff contention this year, but Adam's proven to be one of the best managers in our league, so you can never count him out of the playoffs.
Number 5, Fantasy Fucker.
All right, just outside of our playoff spots, we have the Fantasy Fucker. Don't let his rankings fool you. He still has a very strong team, but his drop in our rankings is mostly due to other teams performing well.
Number 4, Sharks don't need H2O, baby.
All right, in our first playoff spot, we have Sharks don't need H2O. Out of all the teams in our league this season, I'd say Sharks has probably impressed me the most. His team's led by none other than Patrick Mahomes, and he also has a number 3 quarterback on the season, Tom Brady. If he can work out a trade, dumping off one of those quarterbacks to improve his team, I think he could very well become the championship favorite for the season.
Number 3, Professor's Payback.
All right, how can you not move this guy up in our rankings after that monster performance by Aaron Jones? Let's see if the professor can keep his momentum up this week and move up to number 2 or number 1 in the rankings.
Numero 2, the Gurley Gates.
All right, Gurley Gates looks like a team you do not want to face on any given week. His team looks very solid, top to bottom, and he has the top 2 receivers in scoring so far this season. We'll see how Cooper Kupp and Tyler Lockett fare in the many weeks to come.
Number 1, my ball, Zach Ertz.
All right, now as much as I like to try and stay humble, I just had to move myself up to number 1. I'm the current point leader for the season, and I've also put together back-to-back weeks scoring 137 points or more in each week. My team's looking pretty hard to beat on any given week with the number 1 players at quarterback and tight end. We'll see if Kyler Murray and Travis Kelce can keep up the strong seasons and lead me to my first championship.
Bonus segment. Fantasy matchups of the week.
All right, now instead of our normal fantasy grudge match of the week, I'm actually going to highlight two matchups. As if saying goes, first the worst. So let's start off with the first matchup I want to highlight, which is between two winless teams, TDs for Harambe and Boulevard Ballers. So I want you all to bring out your popcorn because this is going to be an exciting matchup. I could see this one going either way, so we'll see who's the undefeated team or who's the winless team after this week. Now for our final matchup I want to highlight, we have the Professor going against Gurley Gates. After this close battle, we're guaranteed to have at least one undefeated team going into week 3. We'll see if Fantasy Fucker and my team can also remain undefeated as well. All right, now that concludes today's show. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Make sure you stay tuned next week for the updated power rankings. And for now, my Balzac Ertz out.